Hello everyone, Brendan Snyder here. Thank you for joining me. So I've got something pretty unique that I think you'd be interested in today. This is a new album by the group Grand Slam. Came out in November of 2019, so it's been out just a couple months here. And if the band name sounds familiar to you, it's because in 1984, following the demise of Thin Lizzy, Lizzy's frontman Phil Lynott formed a new group called Grand Slam. And these two bands are related here. But the original lineup of Grand Slam had Phil Lynott on vocals and bass, Mark Stanway on keyboards, he later is in Magnum, Laurence Archer on guitar. Now John Sykes was the original guitarist in Grand Slam, but he got a call from David Coverdale and Whitesnake to join, and of course that was too good of an opportunity, so he did join Whitesnake, and that's why Laurence Archer got the gig. Dosey Nagel was the rhythm guitar player, and then Brian Downey, another former Thin Lizzy member, on drums. And so they went out and did a lot of touring in 1984. They did record some demos at that time, but unfortunately they were unable to secure a record deal due to Phil's heavy drug use and unreliability at that time. None of the labels really wanted to take a chance on him, or at least so it seemed. But a number of those songs did make their way out, and songs like 19, Sisters of Mercy, and Dedication, that last one having a bit of controversy around it. That song was co-written by Laurence with Phil, and they did do a recording of it, and Thin Lizzy's management got a hold of that song and stripped Laurence's guitar parts off of it. And they replaced it by former Thin Lizzy guitarist Scott Gorham's guitar parts, and had Brian Downey re-record some drums. And then when they released it, they called it a long-lost Thin Lizzy song, when in fact it really was a Grand Slam song. And to make matters worse, they didn't credit Laurence for having co-written that track. So of course a court case ensued, and credit was restored to Laurence for the track. Even on the Thin Lizzy compilations, he now does receive credit, and it's good to see that a wrong like that has been righted, and that he's finally getting some due out of that. Another track that made its way out there was Military Man, and that song was recorded by Gary Moore in 1985, prior to the death of Phil Lynott in 1986. Unfortunately, he succumbed to heart, kidney, and liver failure. Of course, after years of hard drug use, his body just gave out on him. But a number of those tracks did make their way out and were floating around at that time. But in 2002, Mark Stanway compiled some 10 of the demos, and he restored them. This came out on Zoom Club Records, and it's called The Studio Sessions. It's got 10 tracks on it. It's got 19, Crime Rate, Sisters of Mercy, and then a cover song, two of them paired together, Whiter Shade of Pale with Like a Rolling Stone, and it's really cool how they meld those two together. Then Military Man, Harlem, Gay Boys, Breakdown, Look in Her Eyes, and She Cries. And this was a really cool release. It's, of course, demos of it. And there is a number of the tracks on here that are pretty high quality, but some of them are, have like drum machine and stuff, and are a bit lower quality and kind of raw. But it's really great to hear this material, sort of the what could have been for this band here, Grand Slam. And it's got that really cool booklet there. You saw there was some write-up in it and stuff, and some cool historic photos. So if you're looking for something, if you're a big Thin Lizzy fan or Phil Lynott fan, and you want to hear some stuff, this stuff was recorded in 1984, and it's definitely worth checking out. But then in 2016, Mark Stanway, along with Laurence Archer, put the band back together. And that's where this comes from. After a bunch of touring and things like that, they finally recorded a new album. In fact, their first official album, because even though this came out, this was just a compilation of the demos and things recorded at the time. But this one here, Hit the Ground, is their first official album. And the cool thing about this is that it intersperses tracks written originally back in 1984 with new material that's written today. The lineup for this has Laurence Archer on guitar. Mark Stanway plays keyboards on 5 of the tracks. He's not listed as a member, but he is part of this. Mark Dyer on vocals, and his vocals are very reminiscent to Phil's. He definitely has his own flair and style, But you know, Phil had such a unique vocal style. You couldn't just get a regular guy singing and put him in here. You had to get somebody unique, and this guy definitely fits that bill. You have Dave Boyce on bass and Benji Reed on drums. And then so, as I was saying, this has 10 tracks on it, and it's interspersed with the old, and then they wrote new. And so it kicks off with Gone Are the Days, and that's one of the new tracks. And all these new tracks feel like they were written right at the same time. They all fit together. They have that classic Lizzy sound to them. The second track is one of the originals, 19, then Hit the Ground is a new one, followed by another classic, Military Man, then Crazy, which is a new one, followed by Dedication, of course, another classic and the one that had that bit of controversy on it. Then followed by a new one, Long Road, and then a classic, Sisters of Mercy, and Crime Rate, also another classic there, and I really like the take that they do on Crime Rate here. Followed by track 10, Grand Slam. And then there's 3 bonus tracks on here. There's acoustic versions of 3 of these songs, Long Road, Sisters of Mercy, and Crime Rate done acoustic, and it's really cool to get those. So here's the front cover of this, and there's the back side. And if you notice with this, they're definitely doing a bit of what I would say is sort of an homage or pairing with Black Star Riders and the style of stuff that they're doing. You know, Black Star Riders does a lot with the old warplanes and stuff like that, and having the metal riveting and things like that. And of course, the motorcycles and things that go along with it. And you'll see here in just a minute, there's that shot with them sitting on the motorcycles and stuff. So definitely tying into it. If you're a Black Star Riders fan, a Thin Lizzy fan, I definitely recommend checking this out. Now, there's one thing that I want to point out here, and I haven't been able to find any real information on it, but all of these old songs that are on here, 19, Military Man, Dedication, Crime Rate, Sisters of Mercy. Now, on here, they do not list Laurence Archer as a co-writer, but on this one, Laurence gets credit on all those with Phil Lynott. So I'm not sure if that's sort of retribution for when his name was left off of the track 19, if it's part of a court agreement, or if in fact he really did co-write all of those, and it's just now being, of course, rectified. I really hope it's the point that he did really co-write these, that he's not just adding his name, you know, because of this project, but who knows. Either way, the material is really great. Totally worth checking out. Highly recommended if you're a fan of Thin Lizzy or Black Star Riders and or Gary Moore. All right, hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take care, everyone.